You're listening to Eating for Eden, episode 37. When it comes to doing something about climate change, your food choices matter. Thanks for tuning in to Eating for Eden, a podcast that takes a food-first approach to climate action. I'm your host, Jessica J. Schroeder, and I am passionate about food that tastes good and does good. I'll guide you with practical tips and help you thoroughly enjoy your food along the way. As we come to the close of another year and prepare to enter 2025, many of us are setting intentions for the new year, typically characterized by any number of New Year's resolutions, from realistic and wise to overly ambitious and doomed to fail. It's a time when many of us want to, quote, do better and be better. While I'm all for a healthy reset, I want to encourage each of us to approach our hoped-for change both realistically and with grace. If you've been wanting to transition your diet to becoming more plant-based, for example, now is a great time to give it a go. And armed with a grace-filled, realistic approach, I'm here to help you make sustainable progress rather than seek unrealistic perfection. Over the next 4 weeks, and thus each Monday in January, I will share a new part of a 4-part series to help guide you through a plant-based January. We'll address topics such as making a commitment to progress rather than perfection, taking the journey into plant-based eating at your own pace, managing the confusion of diet tribes and labels, and how to have grace for yourself and others along the way. If you haven't yet done so, hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or whatever platform you're listening on to be sure you don't miss these upcoming episodes. If you're listening to this episode when it's not the turn of the new year, don't sweat it. These tips will still be relevant, and you can choose to implement them at any time. As great as the new year is for resets and trying new things, don't wait until the next time January rolls around. Get started today. With all that in mind, today I'd like to introduce the series of episodes I'll release over the next 4 weeks. I'm calling it Progress Over Perfection. At the heart of this series is a preference for sustainability over flash-in-the-pan success, because the latter tends not to last. Pursuing habit change over time, however, in a way that accounts for the adaptation of your taste buds, patterns, preferences, and any learning curves involved, is far more likely to be effective and to stick in the long run. Let me say that again. Pursuing habit change over time is far more likely to be effective and to stick in the long run. I introduced this general concept back in episode 2, Perfection Isn't the Goal. It's understandable that if we feel ready to make change in our lives, we might be tempted to go all in at once, especially when that something has important impacts beyond our own individual lives. Why not go all in? However, despite good intentions, far too often we get burned out or overwhelmed by attempting to implement and sustain too much change at once. While it may be possible for a select few to make a 180-degree flip overnight, for most of us, that's not realistic. Not only is it nearly impossible to achieve such a quick shift, it's not sustainable. In other words, even if we could manage it for a day or two, perhaps even a week or a month, it's rare that such a shift will truly stick for years to come if it wasn't built up over time. Any of us can grit our teeth or ride on the waves of excitement through any manner of short seasons, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Things that last require a period of building, of intentional development. This is why I want January to focus on making progress rather than attempting to attain perfection. It can be tempting to have an all-or-nothing mindset, but this kind of mindset rarely serves us well in any area of life. Yes, it takes time to make incremental changes, and it might not be as sexy or shiny as a whole new rhythm, but it will wear better over time. It's important to bear in mind a crucial fact. Doing something is better than doing nothing. So instead of attempting perfection or despairing and doing nothing, focus on starting where you are and doing what you can. You don't even need to have a particular goal, or at least not one determined right away. Just choose a place to start making little changes and focus on building sustainable habits along the way. As I just alluded to, mindset is powerful. As such, in preparation for the upcoming episodes, here are 3 things to keep in mind as we head into the new year and into an opportunity of emphasizing plants more and more in your meal choices each day. 1. If you slip up, start again tomorrow. Now, what it means to, quote, slip up will depend on the particular steps you decide to take. Maybe you're aiming to do a meatless Monday every week and then swap out dairy milk for soy or oat. Maybe you want to go meatless before dinner or omit all red meat from your diet. Whatever you choose to try, if you slip away from your intentions, don't beat yourself up, and certainly don't give up. When talking about habit formation in his book Atomic Habits, James Clear encourages giving yourself grace for a missed day or slip up. Start again tomorrow. In James Clear's own words, the first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. 2. Slow and steady wins the race. As I've been saying, this is meant to be a sustainable approach to dietary change. While the changes you begin to make may not be as large of strides as you had initially hoped to make, the point is adopting behaviors that will become habitual, easy to maintain over the long term. This is not meant to be a 1-month experiment after which you run out of steam. This is meant to be a gradual shift that compounds and strengthens over time. So, befriend the slow journey. See it as the strength that it is. And 3, don't go it alone. Do all you can to find community and support for the journey. Ask a friend if they would be interested in joining you. Talk about your successes and struggles, share recipe ideas, and encourage one another. If your family isn't super jazzed about making changes, this is an especially important step. Find others who share these interests and values with whom you can connect. Even the most intrinsically motivated of us need supportive community when pursuing meaningful and lasting life change. So to restate, if you slip up, start again tomorrow. Slow and steady wins the race. And don't go it alone. Keep these things in mind over the coming weeks, as they will dovetail nicely with the topics to come. I also want to take a moment to tell you about a resource that I've developed to help you maximize what you get out of the upcoming series for January. I've just released a downloadable ebook called The Beginner's Guide to Plant-Based Eating on EdenandMe.com. This ebook takes you through the essential steps for getting started eating more plant-based, whatever your end goal may be. Whether you're completely new to plant-based eating or have dabbled in it a bit and want more direction, this guide will enable you to make sustainable progress that will stick over the long term. It is self-paced, built on essential guiding principles, leads you through exercises and worksheets, and includes additional resources to support you along the way. Head over to the store at EdenandMe.com to check it out. You'll even get to peek inside at a few pages to sample the content. And for a limited time, listeners can receive 25% off the ebook with the code PROGRESS25 at checkout. That's PROGRESS 25. Use the link in the show notes to download your copy today. If you're excited to dive into a plant-based January, share this episode with a friend and invite them to journey along with you. Just like a tasty meal, successful progress is sweeter when it's shared. If you have questions or want to suggest a topic for a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. Send an email to edenandme@substack.com. Also, if you've been enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving a review. I'd love to grow the reach of this podcast in 2025, and I need your help to do so. So thank you in advance. If you want recipes, head over to edenandme.com where you can find a variety of delicious recipes to bring what you're learning into the kitchen. Finally, become an email subscriber on Substack to have new podcast episodes delivered right to your inbox. If you appreciate the work I'm doing and want to support the show, you'll also have the option of becoming a paid subscriber. That's all for now, friends. Until next time, and until next year, Be well. Thanks for listening to Eating for Eden. If you found this episode informative or inspiring, please consider sharing it with a friend. Climate change is an issue we all need to tackle together, so let's invite others to journey along with us as we continue the conversation and start taking action. Until next week, friends, take care.